Hello everyone, welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. I think spring has actually come to Cochrane today. The grass is all nice and green and the leaves are in bud and the sky's blue. So I'm making the most of it by just sitting in my craft room and making some cards. And I promised you that this week I would be using the Lilypad Lake set. This is one of the stamp sets that's carrying over into the new catalogue. But it isn't a stamp set I've used very much. I've only made 1 or 2 cards using the images, and I actually bought the set because I love these sentiments. And I bought it mainly for this one, the thinking of you with loving thoughts and prayers, because I thought that was a nice sentiment to put on sort of get well cards, sympathy cards, just cards that you're maybe sending to a friend that you haven't seen for a while and just say, you know, I am thinking about you. And so I've used the sentiments a lot, but not used the stamps very much. So I do have the dies for the set as well. And I have used these dies to cut out the sentiments, but I haven't really used the stamps at all. So today, what I'm doing is I'm not going to use the sentiments, I'm just going to use the stamps, which is a bit novel for me. So let me show you what I'm going to make. Now, I can't show you a finished one because I've only designed it in my head and I roughly know what I want it to look like. So I'm going to be making it while you're watching it, but making it for the first time. So this is our basic card and it's cut at 8.5 by 5.5, scored at about 4 1/4, and then just folded, ready. And we're going to have just a tiny weeny little border between the base card and our first layer. And for the first layer, I've chosen Tranquil Tide. As you know, this is one of my absolute favourite colours. I use it all the time and it retires in 2.5 weeks. So I'm just using up some of my cardstock and still using it while I can. So this is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And you can see when it's attached, it is the tiniest little border. Just a tiny weeny little bit all the way around. And that's because I want to see the white part just to set off the green layer. And I have got some more layers that have also got the 1/8 of an inch border. So I wanted it all to sort of just to match. But I'm not going to assemble it until the end because there are lots of layers to this card. And it's easier if you assemble it and then put the whole thing onto the card back. So this is our basic card. I should move that out of the way because we're going to be working with this piece. Now, what I've done next is cut some of the DSP, the 6x6 DSP in the new in colours. I've cut some of these pieces and you need 2 different pieces of DSP. Well, all I'm going to do, because Stampin' Up have already sorted out the patterns and the colours, all I'm going to do is just turn one piece over. So you need 2 pieces and these are cut at 2 inches by 5 1/4. And we're going to put them onto this border, onto this layer, sorry, with that same tiny weeny border. So it will go just like this. Okay. But that one will go the other way up. Okay. So I've got my 2 different pieces of DSP. And I'm just going to find my first fuse and attach them. Now, I've made something similar to this card quite a lot of times because it is one of my basic templates that I've been using for a long, long time. So I know roughly what the card's going to look like just because I've made similar cards, but I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. Because I haven't got all the pieces sorted and I haven't put them together. I think sometimes we need just to, you know, play with card, play with paper and see what we come up with rather than having an exact picture in our heads. Okay. I'm going to make it so that I've got the dots on the top and the lines on the bottom. Okay, now, the next thing we need to do with this is just to put a little piece of ribbon across the middle. And this is one of the Celebration discontinued or retired ribbons. You could use any ribbon you want. I just liked it because it's going to pick up a colour that I'm using later in the card. And all you need to do, if I didn't have this, I would probably have used the brown flax ribbon. Let me get it. This is what I was looking at, and I really liked it for a masculine card. And I was in two minds whether to use this or this, but I wanted a narrower ribbon. This was just a little bit thick for what I wanted. So let's just put some glue on the back. Oops. Oh, yeah. And this is just going to go across the middle. Like this. Don't worry that we've got all that on the back spare. Just chop that a little bit off. And now later on, when I've got this ready, I'm going to put a little knot on here. So all I'm going to do for now is just cut myself another piece of the ribbon so that I know I've got it there ready. And then I can put the rest of the ribbon away. Okay. And we're not doing anything else with this piece just yet, so I'll put that on one side. And we're going to do the top layer. And for the top layer, I've cut one of the stitched rectangle shapes out on Whisper White, and I used the third largest. And these rectangles, you can see they've got 2 layers of stitching, and it sort of leaves the print of one on this piece and one on the outside piece, which is really nice if you want to use it like a photo frame effect. But I don't need that for this one. I only need the inside piece. Okay. And this is the piece we're going to stamp on and do our picture on. And I'm going to use this water part, and I'm only going to stamp in Balmy Blue. Now what would be nice with this is if you sponged part of the background as well. Just let me pop this on here and I'll show you where I mean. This isn't long enough to go from edge to edge, but that's okay. I'm not worried about that. That's all I want for now. Let's clean this off. And I don't need the ink anymore either. So I'll pop that over there. But if you were to sponge like a sky scene here with maybe the sun, you could do it as a sunset, or you could do it just a nice blue sky. Whatever. It would look really pretty. And had I thought of that 10 minutes ago when I was getting everything ready, I think that's what I would have done. So maybe if I make another one, I'll sponge the background and then I'll put that up on the video as well at the end just to show you. Okay, so that's all the stamping I'm doing for now. I've already stamped this. I don't know if it's an ibis or a heron. I think it's probably a heron. I've stamped it just in grey granite and used the little framelit to cut it out. And I've also done the boats. And the stamp stamps all 3 boats together, but when you put it through with the die, it cuts the 2 big boats together and the small one on its own. And that's just perfect for what we need. Okay, so I'm just going to colour in these little boats, these little yachts. I'm going to pop my glasses on there because I can't see some of those ones very clearly. And I've just picked out a whole handful of Stampin' Right markers and blends just to colour in the little yachts. And it doesn't matter how you colour them. You could use watercolour crayons, you can use all blends, you could use the ink with one of the aqua painters. Now, I didn't have this kind of green, but I do know that if I use this Call Me Clover green, I just want to do the bottom of this boat. If I use this, look, the green is really bright, and it's too bright for what I want. But if I go over it with this bronze marker, it sort of tones it down a little bit and almost turns it this kind of green. See how similar it is there? So, and I found that out earlier this year when I coloured something with this green and realised it was the wrong one, and went over it with that bronze and thought, oh, actually, that's very tranquil tide looking. I like that. So, let's see, let's colour some of these sails. Now, I'm not a sailor, so I don't know which sails these are, if they have technical names or not, but they're just getting coloured in however I want them. Let's use this blue as well. I don't want to introduce too many colours, but this will be a focal point, and so I want it to be, you know, a little bit, have a little bit of colour to it. Okay, so there's our first two. And let's do this one the same with the little brown bit at the bottom. And then, let's do a little yellow sail on this one. I'm sure yachts don't have all tons of different colour sails, but it just looks pretty. There. I'll just move those out of the way. Like that. I'm just going to check that that was still recording, because my phone made a funny little noise. I wasn't sure if it stopped recording, but it's fine. Okay, let's pop those up there. And then for this piece, I've cut a border, and again, I've done that tiny border. So all I did was measured the size of the stitched framelit and then just added on 1/8 of an inch. So I've cut this in balmy blue, and it's going to be 3 1/8 by 4 1/2. You see, it's just that tiny weeny little border again. So let's attach that. There we are. Okay, and this is going to go in the middle here. So you see a little bit of the bushel blue paper here and a little bit at the bottom, but I'm doing it the other way because I want the lines to be at the bottom, so it almost looks like the sea there. Let's move that over to the other side as well. Okay, and we can now attach this to here. So I'm just going to attach it with glue. I'm not using dimensionals on this. I want to use dimensionals later, and I don't want the card to be too thick to go in the envelope or for it to cost me more to mail. So let's pop this on here. And remember, there's only that tiny weeny little border on this. Okay. And then this piece, I'm just going to glue. I'm not going to put this piece on dimensionals yet, but I am just going to move it over so that I know I've got enough room for that ribbon. And that's why I left that ribbon in, because I wanted to make sure that I had enough room for a knot to show, and, you know, not glue this down and then find out, oh, that's all squashed over at that one side. So, but you know, I might like it at that side. Let's have a look at that. I know that's where it was before by accident, but that might be quite nice. Let's tie the knot and then see. Oops. Now, I'm only doing an overhand knot. I'm not doing anything fancy. And then, let me see where I hid my scissors. There they go. I'm going to trim the ends here. And I think this ribbon is not going to lay very flat. If that bothers you, you could just put a little glue dot underneath here to make sure that it lays flat. But it's not going to bother me. Okay, so then I'm going to attach this. I think this fast fuse is nearly at the end. I think I only have 1 or 2 fast fuse refills left after all those that I bought. As you know, fast fuse is my favourite tape. Took me a long while to get used to it, but once I did get used to it, that was it. I was hooked. There we go. You see how that little blue ribbon just picks out the blue on this border and the balmy blue that I inked up for the water too. Okay, right, let's see what we need next. I have already stamped and my sentiments, and I used this Well Said set because I wanted birthday. I didn't want it to be sort of a flowery birthday because the card's for a man, and I also wanted to use the blueberry bushel to cut out the happy. So with the dies, this one says happy, so I cut that in the blueberry bushel and then just stamped and used these sentiment banners here that I showed you. I cut one out in the thinner banner and one in the wider banner because I don't know yet which one I wanted. One thing, if you have this set, one thing I found so much easier to use was to put the dies so that you could see the writing. Ordinarily, I have it so that the cutting side is up, but I couldn't work out what these said. So what I realised was if I turned them over, it's easier to see what they say. So I've got mine upside down for me, but it means I can read them. And I used just the happy and cut it out in the blueberry bushel card, which matches here, matches the paper. And let me just have a little look. I think I might put my little heron or whatever he is on first, and I'm not going to put him on the white piece here. I want him to stand off. I want him to be like this. So I'm just going to get some dimensionals, which have totally run away now. Oh, here they are. I knew I had just a few left. So I'm just going to pop him at the side of the card, but with his feet still on the paper, rather than just on the card. I'm just going to pop 3 on him. I like it when pieces of the card or the decoration sort of stand off the main picture. I think it's a nice look. Okay, so there he is there. And now do you see what I mean about having that background sponged? As you're building up the picture, then you can see that if this had been a coloured sky, that would have been really, really pretty. Okay, now I'm going to put my little boats on. And I think, let me just see. Let me decide first which sentiment I want. Here's my happy to go up here. And then I don't know if I want that wide sentiment that says birthday. That looks a little bit lost there. Or the narrow one. I think I might use the narrow one and put it up on dimensionals. Let's use those last 2. I do have more in the box. This is just the end of a box, end of a paper for me. Okay, so I'm going to put this here. Let's see what it's like if it overlaps. No, I don't like it overlapping. I'm going to have it go in here, and I'm going to put the other little sailboat just on the top of it there. So let's just have a little bit of glue on the back there. Doesn't need much. And this one I'm going to attach with Tombow. So excuse my reach. You only need a couple of little dots to attach this. There we go. Let's put this across here. might be able to get that just under there. Yeah. So there we are with the happy and the birthday. And I'm going to attach these two. And while I've got the Tombow in my hand, I might as well use that. So it looks like they're sailing. And then I told you that the Tranquil Tide was going to match another little piece for the front. It sort of almost matches the bottom of this boat, but I also cut out, let me find where the dies are. I also cut out a few of these little pieces of grass, just so that I could put them on the bottom here. Over where the heron was standing. I think I might need more dimensionals, so excuse me while I just get my box. Here we are. Get some more dimensionals out of here. Don't know if I have any small ones still in here. I think these are all big ones, but that's okay. We can cut them down. So I think I might just have it so that there's one here. Let's see how this would look. One here, one raised up a little bit, and then maybe another one, let's see, another one at the back there. Just like that, I think, yeah. So I'm going to put just Tombow on the back of these ones because these ones are going to lay flat. And a little bit of Tombow on this one too. I really am going to miss this Tranquil Tide. I've loved this colour. I've used it for just about everything, for masculine cards, for Christmas cards, everything. But there are some beautiful new colours coming. Let's see. This is only very narrow. Let's just take a little bit, just a little bit of at a time. Cut these ends piece off. That doesn't want to come off. There we go. And then I'm just going to put a little piece and just chop that bottom piece off because that's a little bit long. I might end up putting two on here, just so that it covers his feet as well. Let's get another one. This tiny little piece, I'm going to put it under one of his feet because he's just sort of popping off here. There we are. And let's put another little piece on. Where are those tiny little bits that I cut off? Move it over to the left a little bit. There we are. Okay. Just knock those little bits of paper off. So there we are. That's my Lilypad Lake card for today. And I think I might make another one and just sponge that background and let you see the difference that it would make. But I love that. I like that the little heron isn't in the water, he's just at the side, sort of looking out to sea. So there we go. A quick, easy card. Once you've cut your pieces, it's really quick to put together. You don't need to do a lot of stamping, and I think it's turned out really pretty. So thank you again for watching me, and when the video posts, have a look at the bottom because I will include the second card as well. Thanks so much, everybody. Give me a like and a share if you've enjoyed watching this, and then you can share it with your friends and they can watch too. Thanks so much. Bye, everybody.